Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna and I'm a little bit spooky, and today we are going to talk about gold eyeshadow, particularly gold eyeshadow if you are cool complected, if you have ashy colored hair, light eyes, pale skin, or any combination of that. I mean, you could have dark hair, dark eyes and still be cool complected. Just if you're someone who struggles with gold eyeshadow because you feel like it clashes with your complexion, that is what we're talking about today. So yeah, this is a look I kind of created, and I went through it and kind of did levels of glam with the look and a couple of lip options, that kind of thing, just to really give you some idea of how to complete a look using gold eyeshadow, especially if you're wanting to dip into that very yellow gold that you have in a palette like this one. And it's so pretty and you want to be able to wear it, but it just doesn't look good on you. I know, because if I go in with just a pure gold eyeshadow, I look washed out and sickly, and it's not good. So I'm going to show you how to balance that yellow gold with some other golden shades that are more champagne leaning, maybe a little bit of softer golds, and just how to balance it out with a neutral crease and make it work for basically anybody, but particularly for people who have a cooler undertone, lighter eyes, gray hair, light blonde hair, cool tone brown hair, just, you know, in general, cool complected. So yeah, that is what we are up to today. And my first tip really is to look for a softer gold, or something in more of a champagne family. Maybe a gold that has a little bit of warmth in it and not so much yellow. Something just very, very soft. And use that as your main shade and incorporate that bright yellow as just a little pop. Like I did today is I put the bright yellow just on the center of the lid and let it marry into those softer golds, and it makes it just a little more wearable, a little more balanced with one's skin tone without it competing or looking too harsh. Because that is one thing about like yellow golds, they especially on me with light eyes and light hair, they really wash me out, and just it's not a good look unless I pair it with a shade that works with that in particular. I wanted to gear today's look more to keeping things neutral and softer, that I think would complement better with gray hair or really light hair, salt and pepper hair. And this is also a look I think that could translate beautifully on more mature skin, if that makes sense, you know. I think it's a very timeless, classic look that is, honestly, I think would be great for weddings, Christmas, holiday events, that kind of thing. It's just a very timeless, beautiful, almost red carpet type of look, and there's something about it that I think can look beautiful on everybody. So this is just a version of that using shades that I think would complement cool complected people the best. And in doing that, I find that going with a shade that's more like a contour shade in the crease rather than a warm brown, going with more of a sculpting shade rather than the warm brown, makes it much more neutral and softer, and I think can not compete but feel more cohesive with light hair and gray hair, pale skin, that kind of thing, instead of going like super fiery with the look and super warm, or going yellowy honey looking with the look. Many ways you can do a look with gold and make it work on multitude of skin tones. But this one I wanted to do something a little bit different than what I would normally do. Instinctively on myself, I'm going to go with honey colors like Naked Honey, or I'm going to go with more warm kind of Campbell shades, or just warm browns in the crease, very bronzer colors. And for this one, I wanted to show you using more of that contour type of shade, that very sculpting brown. For instance, the shade right here in this Marc Jacobs palette, it's just a very neutral mid-tone, all around mid-tone type of brown, and that's what I think is the shade to look for if you're trying to make this type of look work on a cool complexion. I have to sneeze. I think that the shade like that is what really can make a look like this work and be able to work on very fair, light hair and very cool complected skin tones without it looking too much. Like, it has a classic, just soft elegance to it. And it's not like a statement eye necessarily. It's just a pretty look. And this is the kind of look I would do on clients a lot for special events and like weddings and stuff. It's really just like one of those go-to looks that I know look good on so many people, and all you have to do is just tweak a few things to go with, to work with one's skin tone. So for like most of the time if I was working on a client that was fair complected, I would go with that more sculpting shade. But the thing is, you can't go too cool with that sculpting shade. You don't want like a gray taupe shade. You want one that has a true neutral undertone to it, and just very, very mid-tone all around, middle of the road type of shade. And the one in the Marc Jacobs palette is perfect. But again, I'm gonna have some examples and options listed down below in the description box with links, so that you can find your own perfect palette to kind of get this look with. Yeah, and then obviously the soft gold. Think Naked 2 vibes. Naked 2 had beautiful gold in that palette, but it also had that taupey shade in those cool tones and kind of champagne shades mixed in. That was perfect, and that was a great way to incorporate gold eyeshadow if you were more comfortable with cool tones. This is also a look I think would be beautiful on more mature eyes, and I hate saying mature, but you know what I'm saying. If you're over 35, this is an eye look I think would work really well for you if you've got hooded eyes and you got a bit of loose skin hanging around like I do. This I think is a beautiful look for that, and it's very, very flattering. If you want another video, or like a video focused on doing makeup on mature skin and mature eyes, let me know down below, because I got hooded lids with some excess skin, so I can make it work. Or I can potentially bring in a model to work on and show you some tips and tricks with that, because that is kind of my favorite client to do makeup on, is more mature clients. That I love it. I don't know why. And I love doing like full glam. If you want to see some more videos on how to wear gold eyeshadow and some different looks using gold as the starless show, I will have a ton of videos linked in the description box. So if you have any like questions about how to pair colors with what for your undertone, leave them down below. And also if you have tips and tricks, leave those down below too. I think it is fun for us to all share our tips and tricks together. Let's go ahead and get into the makeup portion of this video, and I'm going to show you a couple lip options. What blush I think pairs best with this kind of look, that sort of thing. We're just going to get real in-depth with it, and it's also a very easy look. And I'm going to show you how to take it from daytime to evening as well. We're hitting all the things in this video. Mature eyes, how to wear gold eyeshadow, daytime to evening, lip options, the whole shebang. So let's go ahead and get into the actual application so I can shut the hell up. All right, onto the actual makeup. So today we're going to talk all about gold eyeshadow, which I'm sure I talked a little more in depth about in the intro. I hope I did. Anyways, for today, I think the most ideal palette just to demonstrate the color pairings is the Marc Jacobs Extravagance palette. This one is just kind of perfect if you're looking for just a beautiful classic gold eyeshadow palette and you're not going for particularly honey colors or warm toned. You just want that classic golden glam type of look. This is just ideal to me, and I will have a ton of links down below of various palettes from every price point that fit this vibe of just a very beautiful soft golden look that is just ideally for very pale skin tones like myself, and say you have salt and pepper hair or more of an ashy hair tone or light blonde. This is the kind of what I'm gearing towards with this look today. And I've had very ashy blonde hair. I've had very pale blonde hair. A color combination I've used in the past and I know works across the board, and I've used it on clients quite a few times, especially like for like wedding makeup, stuff like that. Just very classic. And I think gold can be a tricky color if you have gray hair, salt and pepper hair, ashy hair, and very light cool toned complexion. Yellow golds can be just a bit much and pull the wrong undertones out in your skin. So what I like to do is go with more of a gold shade that has a bit of a peach in it. Like For instance, this shade right here, it on camera I think it's looking much warmer than it is in person, but this one it's a gold champagne with more of a peachy undertone as opposed to this bright yellow gold right here. And what I'm going to do is show you how you can throw in a little bit of that yellow gold and make it work. You just got to balance it with some other shades. So let's go ahead and get started on the look, and I'm going to gather my thoughts for that intro. But I want to show you just kind of a full rounded version of this look and show you what kind of like a lip and blush to pair with it to make it all work and look cohesive and just feel flattering and something you can just feel pretty in. But I've already primed my eyes, I've got some brows on, and I'm going to go ahead and just jump into a cream color right here. Now this look obviously it's not about the palette, it's just about the color pairings, and this happens to be just one that I gravitated towards when I had this look in mind and this video in mind. This was the first one that popped in my head. Again, I'm going to have a ton listed down below that you could use. I'm going to start the look out though with a matte cream bone shade that matches my skin tone and is maybe a hair lighter than my skin tone. And what I'm going to do is take that kind of bone shade here, which is just a very light cream, and bring that right here under the brow, just because I feel like that's just, I kind of start all my looks out like that because I don't like a super shimmery brow bone, and I have a large brow bone, so I don't want to emphasize it that much, but I do want, you know, some light right there. But this is a great base shade just to kind of get your look started as well. So next I'm going to take a fluffy brush, and the next shade I think for the crease in transition is what helps ground these gold shades, and that is a neutral brown tone. Think leaning more on the almost towards the taupier side of things, like just very in between neutral. No warmth in it necessarily, no, not super cool either, just a very middle ground neutral type of color, which this palette has a perfect one right here in this shade. On camera, again, I think it's looking warm, but who knows. But this is just a truly just neutral brown, like in between shade. It's very mid-tone across the board. Mid-tone in depth level and in color. It's kind of a puppy brown, chocolatey, and like a milk chocolate almost. You can see it has a hair bit of warm in there, but it's more like a bronzer type of shade. That I think is the perfect kind of color to put in the crease in transition when you're working with more golden tones on a fair skin, because we're not going for like the warm golden look or a fiery look today. We're truly just focusing on how to make gold work on just a pretty look and not have it be a fiery warm tone look or a golden honey look. This is just a very like just classic kind of glam look. I think it's perfect for the holidays. That's why I wanted to go ahead and get it up too. But we're going to take that on a fluffy brush, and I'm going to apply it kind of softly into the transition, and then we'll build up the depth as we go down into the crease. So I'm going to start right here and just softly apply it. Again, this video is also not totally focused on the technique of or where you're applying these shades. This is just kind of my classic go-to placement for a look like this, but your placement of shades is up to you. This to me is just kind of the easiest way to make this work, and that's another aspect of this video I want it to be about ease and just something you can just a go-to type of thing. And you don't have to be a cool tone to make this look work either, or necessarily pale. Just deepen up your shades and it will work, and slightly maybe tweak some undertones. I usually try to make these color focused videos kind of a little more universal, but I had some requests about particularly for cool tone and fair skin and gold eyeshadow, so that's why this one's a little bit more geared to that. Building this shade up, and it is more of a contour almost in the transition and crease rather than an obvious like warm brown or a camel or anything like that. It's just a truly a contour type of color, and that's kind of what you want to go for. You don't want it to be an obvious shade. It should be a shade that just kind of flows with your skin tone, and when you're more on the fair side, a shade that's a bit more of a contoury type of shade is going to work better than something a little bit more warm, depending on what you're going for and your personal preferences, obviously. But I'm thinking in my head, somebody with gray hair or salt and pepper hair, or you know, just very ashy brown hair even, or blonde hair. And this also work on, you know, cool tone brunettes. This is just like a perfect shadowy contour shade, and I love it. Again, you can tweak this part of the look though to fit your skin tone. And if that's enough of a transition crease for you, you can stop there and move on to the lid. But for me, because I have hooded eyes and they're a little bit kind of deep set and a heavy brow bone, I like to deepen up just a little bit more in the crease, but I'm going to use that same shade. I'm just going to build it up a little more on a bit more of a concentrated brush. And for that, I'm going to use this Sonia Kashuk pointed crease. I'm going to take that same shade and just focus it a little bit more concentrated into that crease and lower transition area, into the socket line rather. Because this personally is what flatters my eye shape the most, and I think this is also really a nice technique for more mature lids. But just building that up and adding that little extra depth in there really works for me. So it's just a very contoured, very neutral brown eyeshadow. Now if you wanted to take this smokier and more for like an evening look, you could take a deeper brown and bring it in this outer V right here. You could even take a soft black if you wanted to, or just a very deep brown is what I would recommend. It's just easier to work with, and again, keep it kind of neutral. And in this palette, there is this really blackened brown shade on the end here that is very, very neutral, and it's brown, but it's so dark it's almost black. And I think that kind of color would be perfect for the outer V, just to give you a little bit more of a lift and a little more drama if you wanted to. Now if you want this to be an everyday look, stop right here with the brown eyeshadows and just go straight onto the lid. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you, go ahead doing the lid and keeping it like this, and then we'll go in and kind of amp up the glam and build on the look a little bit more. If you want to stop right here, what I would recommend doing next is taking that a little bit cooler gold, more of a champagne shade if you will. I was kind of a gold with a bit of a peach in it. It is more flattering to me than just a pure yellow gold. Now some golds are so yellow that they're just but I prefer a gold like this one in the Marc Jacobs palette, which I'm going to swatch right here so you can see what I'm talking about. You see how this has more of a kind of a peach in it and a little bit more of a softness to it, whereas the pure yellow gold is very stark in comparison and very, very yellow, and that to me can clash with cool undertones, especially if you have light eyes. It can kind of wash you out a little bit. So that's where I think coming in with this shade with a little bit more of a champagne-y peach vibe in there can be beautiful. Or even like a shade like the ones from Pillow Talk palette, those more pinky kind of soft shades that have that little bit of gold in them. Those are peak beautiful for cool tone and fair skin. But anyway, I think this shade personally, or something in this color family, is gonna suit a little bit better to be your primary shade, but you can add in a pop of this one too, which I'll show you in a little bit. But we're gonna focus on more of a soft champagne color. And a couple more examples I want to show you of a shade like this would be from like the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. It has some really pretty kind of golden shades in here that are a little more champagne-y and soft. Like let's take this one here called Gold Dipped, and you see it is a gold, but it's a true just gold champagne rather than being a bright yellow gold like the main chocolate gold shade in the palette, which is right here. You see it's very warm yellow, vibrant, and this one's a bit more subdued. And the undertone of this one's a little more green, whereas this one's a little bit more peach. And you can kind of go either way in whatever your preference is. There's you know, shades like this, more of an icy champagne shade that you can incorporate if things are getting a little too yellow, and it will cool things down a bit. The majority of the time, all these kind of golden shades do play well together, and you can kind of gradate them and layer them to get the tone that you really, really want. So let's go ahead and take this more of a peachy shade right here. It's like a very soft golden bronze. Like, it's just very, there's a softness to it. I think that's kind of key, is making sure your gold has a softness and it's not super in your face yellow, vibrant gold. And it has a little bit more complexity to it. And what you can do is kind of mix and match and play until you kind of get the tone that you want. But just going in straight with like a shade like this one that's really yellow gold, or this one that's very light yellowy, can be a bit abrupt depending what you pair it with. And you can go in that more honey direction and make it work and it looks great. But for the most part, it can look kind of stark. So you got to balance it. All right, so I'm going to take this shade on my finger here. This is the more champagne-y golden shade. And we're going to pop that onto the lid. And just keep it kind of more on the mobile lid. Well, that's what I'm going to do anyway. You can kind of blend it wherever you want, how high you want, whatever. But you see how that still has that effect of gold, but there's something just soft about it and very kind of gentle and very an everyday, easy type of color. To me, this is a kind of an elegant color story. You know, it's just two shades, but super easy. There's a soft elegance to it. It's something you could wear day to day and get away with, or you can kind of, you know, amp it up with a little extra shimmer and shine. Like, think something like one of the little Stila glitter and glows on there. Add some sparkle to it and you can really like get a little more impact from it. But just have that nice shimmer on the lid that has that golden reflect and shine to it, but it's not yellow, is what makes it so nice and perfect for our cooler complected gals and guys out there. And what I would like to do at this point is take my pointed crease one more time and just kind of soften those edges up where things might got a little stark, and just makes things look nice and smooth. And from here, if you just wanted to keep it simple like this, and to me this is an everyday look, but I know a lot of people this might be more of a glam look for them. A brown liner just in the lashes into the roots, deepen that up. You can maybe slightly wing it out if you wanted to. Do a little more smoky, whatever your preference is for liner. Throw that on some mascara, and this is a look right here that can look so pretty and so polished and so elegant looking, but so easy. It's so easy. It just really does come down to those color pairings and finding that gold tone that suits you the best. But if you want to amp this up a little more, which is what I like to do, even for every day, I'm going to take a little bit of that darkened, that blackened brown shade on the end here, and I want to show you how you can add that to the outer corner and really get some more oomph from this look and glam it up. Take a tiny bit, just a tiny bit, because again, I want this look to feel kind of easy. And you see that's almost black, but there is a bit of brown in it. It's very soft. And you could do more of a lighter brown shade. Brown, that didn't make any sense. A little less blackened if you wanted to. But I'm just going to take that very softly on that outer corner. And that just gives a little bit more depth out there. You can take your little crease brush again and soften that up and let that marry into that gold. And that gives it just a little bit more of an evening vibe to me, and kind of just a little something extra. And again, you don't have to do that step. That's just something I like to do, is to add a little more emphasis on the outer corner because it suits my eye shape. And I like to kind of pull it out just a bit more right out here and kind of lift and elongate. But that's just me. You can, you know, put as much as little as you want where you want. And you can always take your crease shade that you used and soften that out further. I just really like that little bit extra depth out there. If I wanted to add an actual yellow gold to this look and make it even more golden but still kind of grounded and not stark where it's gonna clash with my undertones and all of that, what I would do is take a little bit of that yellow gold on my fingertip, just a very small amount, and you could just pat that like right into the center of the lid where you still have predominantly that champagne shade, or that more soft bronzy gold, I guess. That champagne-y gold is your primary shade, but you have this kind of just coming in right here on the center, and that gives you just that little bit of a golden glow without it being so stark. And this gold, this Marc Jacob palette, is very yellow, and I feel like when you pair it with that other shade, it can just work so beautifully. And you still get that hint of a gold, but it's not overpowering and it's not clashing and making you look washed out or anything like that. That's truly what it comes down to, is your pairings. You can go back to your original gold, that's the more warm option, and kind of blend those together a little bit. And I'm doing this with my fingers because it's easy, and that's another thing about this look, it's very easy. But you see how that doesn't just read bright yellow gold, even though we used a bright yellow gold? If you want to cool this off even further, you could take a more icy champagne like that and pop that on the inner corner, or like your face highlight shade, which I would pair this look with a soft champagne highlight, like say this one from the Bronze and Glow, Film Star Bronze and Glow from Charlotte Tilbury. You could take a little bit of it on a little brush here and just hit that inner corner, and that'll lighten it up even further and soften it up. The rest of the shades are very neutral, so it's kind of grounding it and just creating a nice flow into the rest of the skin. So what I'm going to do now is pop on a little bit of liner, and for liner I'm going to go with a just nice brown liner. This is also from Marc Jacobs. What I'm going to do with this is just a deep brown. This isn't brownie. This is just a very neutral, dark brown liner. You can get this from any brand. This is a very common color. And just take that right at the lashes into the roots of them, and that will give you some definition and also help ground the look. And it creates a barrier between like your eye color and that gold, because sometimes that gold can really compete with an eye color. For me personally, because I do have light eyes that are kind of bluey green, the gold can wash them out at times. Whereas I think if you have brown eyes, it's a little less of an issue, or green eyes, it'll actually enhance them probably. But if you have kind of like gray, soft, light blue eyes, the gold is really going to kind of compete and wash them out. So I think adding in a dark brown eyeliner really does frame the iris away from the lid and create a little bit of a divide, so they don't compete as much. It creates a little bit of just a framing. And I like to keep my eyeliner towards the outer corner and go into that tight line. And if you want to really amp this up, you can go in with a wing or a deeper liner or a smoky liner. You can use black if you want to. You don't have to just stick to brown. I just feel like brown's kind of a little more complementary to the look or to our vibe today. And you could also take a soft black eyeshadow on that outer corner as well and like amp that up some more and really smoke that out. You see how that just creates a nice little bit of definition there, and it just kind of grounds the gold a little more. And really get into the lashes and the tight line, because that will really help. And not having any like fleshy bits and skin kind of showing through the lashes. Alright, I'm going to go do the rest of my face. I'll be back for some finishing touches for this look. I'm going to show you a couple of lip options and a blush and highlight that I think will just polish it off and make it look so effortless and so pretty. Alright, so let's tackle that lower lash line real quick. I'm going to keep it simple and just go in with that same shade we used in the crease. I'm going to use that just along the lower lash line on a Sigma medium sweeper. I'm just going to take it kind of more on one side of the brush and just run that across. And just get some soft definition. And you could just leave it at that, or you can take some more of that black and brown shade and really amp up that lower lash line and deepen it up. To me, that just makes it look a little more finished, just to run that one little shade under there. You don't have to do a whole lot, and keep it, you know, tied to the lash line, smoke it out, whatever floats your boat. So all that is just up to you and what you like. I personally like a little bit on the lower lash line, but if this is just for like a soft everyday look, this a little bit of a inner corner highlight would be ideal. But to kind of tie in a little bit to the upper lash line, I'm going to take a touch more of that kind of black and brown shade. Black and brown, not black and brown. And just ever so gently, just a little bit on that outer corner. Of course, you could also take some of your brown liner into your waterline, wherever you want, or your black liner. I just like to have that kind of hug around the outer corner. And really tapping the brush off, getting just a tiny bit of product, because this particular shade's quite pigmented. And you notice I always do my eyes before I do my face, just because I don't like fallout. And I'm very messy, and it just makes it a little easier for me to clean up. But again, that's something that you don't have to do. You can do your face first, but I recommend, if you're, especially if you're going to go with like some smokier shades or shades that tend to have some fallout to them, just go and do your eyes first. That way you can clean up anything on your face. All right, nice and soft. It just gives a little bit of lift to the outer corner. Now on the inner corner, I'm going to take that same highlight shade that we used a while ago, which is from the Bronze and Glow palette from Charlotte Tilbury, but any champagne highlighter will do. Like literally any of them. And just hit that right on that inner part. And that really opens the eye up and looks really just nice. If you want to add a little bit, a touch of that gold on the lower lash line, you can totally do that by taking the same two golds we used on the upper lid. And you can just kind of run them across, starting at the inner part and over. It just kind of ties it in a little more. And you can even take that yellowy gold that we used on the center of the lid and take a little bit of it just right there, just like a little kiss of it, just to look cohesive if you want to. That's not really, that's just more a preference thing of where you want to put the color. I always like to do a little bit just right there. That little curve kind of starts. Maybe a little bit more of that yellow gold on the center of the lid, just to give it a bit more of a pop. And there we go. All right, let's do some lashes and finish this up. On the lashes, I'm just gonna use some mascara. So I'm gonna give them a curl and pop that on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so mascara is on, brows are touched up, that whole thing. Let's go ahead and do some blush and lips to tie into this eye. You know, with any makeup look, I feel like, you know, it's not just about the eyes. You gotta do the whole picture to really get a feel for it. But anyways, I went ahead and bronzed with the Film Star Bronze and Glow. I used the bronzer as my bronzer contour situation today. And I made sure to mirror that into the eyes as I usually do. This color is quite similar to what I used in the crease, so it works perfectly for that. And mascara is just the e.l.f. Big Mood. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight with this highlighter in the Bronze and Glow. I think it's kind of the perfect champagne color. It works on my ghostly skin and it doesn't cast like a dark shadow, but it has warmth in it. And it's just kind of perfect. But any, you know, champagne highlight's gonna do the job. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on just on the high points and let that come around. Hit a little bit of that brow. I love this highlighter because it is just so, there's a softness to it. It is not a glittery, over-the-top metallic highlighter. It is very just pretty. It's just very gorgeous, like radiance. But you're not going to be blinding anybody unless you want to. It does build. For this look, I think a nice peachy blush is just kind of the way to go. Something not too warm, not too coral, but not too pink either. Just a nice middle ground. And for that, the perfect one, I think, is Always Cheeky from e.l.f. This is one of their primer infused blushes. And it has a kiss of a little bit of pink in there, but it's mostly just a true peach tone. And I think that just pairs really nicely with the warmth from that gold shade and the more champagne shade we used. I think they just complement one another very well, and it's not overly warm on the cheeks to where it's going to clash, and it's not too cool that it's going to wash you out. Because sometimes if you go in with like a really kind of pinky blush with this, it's going to, I feel like, just clash a little bit and wash you out a little and look a little just flat. So take just a little bit of this. These are very pigmented, so you don't need a whole lot. And just hit the cheekbones. I think Turks and Caicos from e.l.f. in their putty blush would be beautiful too. Or Patrick Ta, She's Statuette. No. Do We Know Her would be a nice option. Gives some life to the face, but doesn't clash with anything. It just feels a little bit kind of cohesive, and it's not a super vibrant blush either. You could go more vibrant if you want, you know, it's all personal preference. I just feel like this blush looks good with this. I always take a little bit like right here, just to kind of marry into the eye. It's subtle, but I feel like it just does a little something and gives a bit of a finished look and a cohesiveness, like just right on this outer bit. Just kind of flick that over into like the transition. All right, and for lips, I have two options I want to show you. First, I want to show you a very like soft, kind of everyday, more approachable lip to do. And for that, I'm going to use the L'Oreal Nude Extreme Intense in the shade 182. And yeah, it's just a really nice peachy shade. It looks a lot darker in the tube than it is on the lips because it's kind of a sheer lipstick. But I feel like it's just a little kiss of peach on the lips. They'll tie in with the eyes. So pretty. And this will make the look a little softer, a little more daytime friendly, I guess you could say. So I'm gonna go ahead and just line my lips real quick with some liner. Spice from MAC. My go-to lip liner. Alright, and we'll do a little bit of this lipstick. Just kind of pat. Yeah, any kind of peachy lip or nude shade that you like. This is just one I'm partial to. Because it does have a little bit of richness to it. It's not so light. I'm not a fan of super light lipstick on myself. Alright, I'm going to top that with a little bit of gloss. I'm going to use Amber from Wet n Wild. I know, from Maybelline. This is one of the lifter glosses. So we are all together with the lip on. I think it just is very pretty. To me, this is one that you could wear to work if you wanted to, or just on a little date night. I think it has enough pizzazz to it, especially if you're not a big makeup wearer. This would be more of a nighttime look. I think it's good for like daytime weddings, stuff like that. I think it's very pretty and has like a hint of that red carpetness to it without being too much, and it's just a very approachable look. But if you're like me and you like to amp things up just a little more, and this is just not hard enough for you, I got you. First thing we're gonna do is deepen up that outer corner just a little bit. Or, you know, say you want to take this into a even more nighttime look, or more holiday look, if you will. If you're like a New Year's Eve party or Christmas Eve type of thing, what I would do, personally, me, take a little bit more of that black brown eyeshadow and just really tap it off, and I would go in on this outer corner and amp that up just a little bit to add a little bit more darkness right out here. Or you could do this with a black eyeshadow, just a touch more, just to give a little bit. And realistically, I would go in a little more ham, but I'm trying to show you something a little bit more, like I said, approachable, I guess. Tap, tap, tap a little bit right out here, blend it down, and then just blend that out a little bit. And that just gives a little bit more drama, and you could really build it up, add a little bit more. Do some falsies. It would look so pretty with some wispies. I just didn't want to do falsies today. There's not many days that I want to do falsies. Now, realistically, during the day, I would go with this lip. This is a lip that I love, like this combination. It's one of my favorite kind of peachy lips. But if you wanted to get a little more glam out of this, we're going to take this off. And since we're focusing this to be for more of a kind of cool tone complexion, and we all have that one red that we love. My favorite red, especially with a look like this, where it is a little more neutral and not wanting to go vibrant red lip. I want like a soft red lip. Walk of No Shame by Charlotte Tilbury is kind of perfect, especially for like if this is a Christmas look or like an evening look. So I'm gonna line my lips with Walk of No Shame lip liner. And what I like about this shade is that it is not quite red. It's a little bit warm, a little bit cool, a little bit bricky, but a little almost berry-ish. Like it's kind of a little bit of everything in one. It's a very unique color. To me, it's a red that you could wear every day and like wear to work. Like it's that kind of red. Like it doesn't scream red, but it gets that point across, you know? Without being so over the top in your face red. It's very muted. I think that just gives it this really pretty, a little bit more of a glam edge to it. But I do think just a red lip would look beautiful with this too. But, I mean, that looks great, doesn't it? And of course you could add a little bit of a gloss. You could go even more vibrant red if that's what you want to do. It's up to you. So that completes our How to Wear Gold eyeshadow for fair skin, light eyes, light hair, any combination of the two, cool complected, all around. Just if you like more cooler tones or feel like cooler tones suit you better, but you want to wear gold eyeshadow kind of look. And mostly I think the key point would be just keep everything very neutral, and if you can pull in a very kind of a lighter champagne and shades that aren't true yellow gold, but more complex, softer golds, that's the way to go. And it will look very timeless, very classic. It's a beautiful like wedding look, holiday look type of vibe. So yeah, that is our look complete. Let me know down below what you think. Do you want to see some more gold looks? Because girl, I got you. I will have linked in the description box a variety of looks using gold eyeshadow, because gold eyeshadow is one of my favorite eyeshadows to wear. There'll be lots of little tips and tricks in there and different ways to wear gold eyeshadow with different color pairings. If you like more honey yellow shades, I got you there. If you like warm fiery looks, got that. If you like purple and gold, got that too. So all that will be linked down below. And yeah, that is all for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me know down below if you have any tips and tricks that you would like to share. Please do. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye now.